Hey there, greetings everybody. I want to welcome you to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back today with the series we've been running for this week. This is episode number 4, and the album that we're going to be doing today is the Magical Mystery Tour. So for those of you who are new or haven't been following the series, maybe this is your first episode, I've chosen 5 Beatles albums, my favorite 5 Beatles albums, and are discussing 2 or 3 or 4, I think it's 5 topics altogether. The year, what the significance of the album is, how is the album reviewed as by people, do they like it, do they don't like it, what they like, what they don't like, that kind of thing. My favorite track on the album, and what's unusual about the album. So those are kind of what I'm talking about here. And I may miss a bunch on this album too, because this album has got a little bit of a stranger history than some of the other albums. So this was released in '67, the same year as Sgt. Pepper's. I think some of the material on here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some of the material on here was kind of left over from that particular project. And some of these other stuff were like one-off singles that never were on other albums, that kind of stuff. And the other thing about this album, and somebody corrected me on this, but I'm still not really 100% sure what they meant. Some people said that it was originally recorded in the UK, but was actually not released in the UK, but released in North America. Is that true, or is that completely wrong? Because I noticed when I originally looked up the discography for this album, this album was cited as released only in the United States. But of course, can't really believe half of the stuff you read online. So, is there a different view of this? I'm not sure. Anyways, that's to me the bit of the unusual history of the album. It's a little bit different. I think it was a show. There was a show called the Magical Mystery Tour, and this was the album that came out for it. Now, what does it say here? Yeah. This is. It looks like it was a TV, like almost like a polka dot door type thing going on here, and then you've got this music that they played in it. So I'm curious to know a little bit more about the real history of this album instead of just the stuff I read. So. The one thing about this album I like a lot is that there are a lot of tracks on here that I really like a lot. This is a very psychedelic album, maybe more psychedelic than any of their other albums, I think. It's got Fool on the Hill, which is a song that I've always liked. Magical Mystery Tour, of course, which is kind of similar to Sgt. Pepper's, that opening part. Then you've got The Blue Jay Way, which is kind of different. Your Mother Should Know, kind of a weird song too. I Am a Walrus, which is probably my favorite track on this album overall. Hello Goodbye, another good one. Strawberry Fields Forever, which is a really psychedelic tune. Penny Lane, which really seems at odds with a lot of songs on this album. Baby You're a Rich Man, and All You Need Is Love, which is kind of something like a transition between Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields. It's the psychedelic part, but not totally psychedelic. Yeah, so there's kind of like a mismatch of stuff going on here. But a great album, nevertheless. Covers a little bit weak for some of their albums, but a little just very different. So for me, the unusual part about this album is like that it came out the same year as Sgt. Pepper's, but seems to be like a collection of throwaways, but not throwaways at the same time. I guess the word throwaways is probably an erroneous term. Maybe it's a collection of stuff that wasn't somewhere else, might be a better way of putting it. So anyways, a great album, one of my favorite Beatles album. Probably the album that brought me back to the Beatles. I'd been away from them for a long time, kind of drifted away from them. You know how it is, you get tired of certain things, and in the last couple of years I've really come back to liking them a lot. They've moved up for me a lot. They're probably going to be my top 30 bands at some point soon. Somebody was, when I originally did my top 30 bands, people were saying, well, where are the Beatles? They're not up there. Where are they? and they weren't up there because they drifted away a long way for a while. And Queen was the other band. Why aren't Queen up there? Well, Queen is not ever going to be up there. I just not a big fan of them, but this band definitely deserves to be up there. Probably will be in a short period of time. But this is a fantastic album. One of the ones I love to go to. It's one of my go-to albums for the Beatles. So there you have it. The Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get notified. Any comments about the album, and anybody who can set me straight as to the history of this album, I would be grateful. I've had a little bit of stuff being said to me, but I'm not really sure I'm following it too well. But if anybody wants to leave any comments about the album in the part down there, that would be great. In the comment section, that would be great. So anyways, I hope you have a good day, and don't forget, tomorrow is the final episode, so I hope to see you there, and we take care and have a good evening. Goodbye.